Is rice now a toxic food for us? A recent study has come out that actually is quite alarming and has showed very high amounts of arsenic and other heavy metals in, surprisingly, our whole grain brown rices and many rices as well, and which leads many people to think that we should be switching over to white rice. Is this true? What's going on? What can we do about it? Hey y'all, welcome back to Grains and Grit. My name is Felicia, and on this channel we talk all things real whole grains, all from a biblical perspective. I teach you how to be milling your wheat, baking that delicious bread, cooking with whole grains, and more. Okay, so you may not have seen this yet, or maybe you have. A study has definitely been floating around that is new. The news stories picked it up. I've seen multiple groups, freshly milled groups, talk about this study that shows that there are high amounts of arsenic, and the second place is cadmium and other heavy metals in rice. A study was done that tested many different types of rice. I think it said 140, 145, and they tested it from Trader Joe's, Walmart. I mean, doesn't matter where the rice was bought, they tested it. And it showed that all the rice contained not only arsenic, but most of them were very high levels of arsenic, higher than what the FDA would recommend to be an acceptable level in our rice. Now, some of the higher amounts of arsenic was actually found in our whole grain brown rice. In fact, that was some of the highest amounts that was found. And so many people now are saying white rice is actually better for us. We should be switching over to white rice because it had lower amounts of arsenic. So in this video, we're going to be talking about, is this true? Can we do anything about it? Should we be ditching rice? Why is rice, why does it have so much arsenic in it? So on and so forth. So first of all, let's just talk about why the rice is popping up with higher amounts of arsenic. And that is because rice as a grain is just a more porous grain, and because it is grown in the rice paddies typically in very wet environments, it absorbs everything pretty much in its environment. Now, arsenic is naturally found in soil. So there is a natural level. I know people saying arsenic is so evil and toxic. At certain levels, you're just fine. For example, apple seeds have arsenic in them, and if you eat apple seeds, you're gonna be fine. The problem is if you eat too much, high dosages, or you consume a lot of it in higher amounts over a longer period of time. So again, arsenic is naturally found in soils, but the problem is well, pollution in our environment. Many of these places now have just runoff from like coal mines, pesticides, those type of things that we as humans have decided to do, and it does pollute our environment. And it's especially affecting the rice because it's just more porous, and that's just how God created it to be. Now, the reason why higher amounts were found in brown rice is rice has that bran and germ on its outer layers, and so that gets hit first. That is absorbing the heavy metals, the arsenic. And so whenever you remove that thus does remove some of the heavy metals, which is why the white rice was generally popping up as less arsenic and heavy metals. And so again, that's why people were saying we should just be consuming white rice. But you know, on this channel, we're all about whole grains, and I do not believe that that is the solution at all. White rice simply is nutrient deficient. And Sue Becker actually did a podcast recently, I will link that below, about how rice is actually enriched. Not only is how white rice is made, but how enriched white rice is made. And it is quite alarming, and just once again shows we should just be consuming rice whole grain form the way that God designed it. So I'll link that below for that. I won't get into how the white rice is made and things like that, but just like wheat and any other whole grain, the bran and the germ is removed, thus leaving the white product. So the biggest takeaway with this that the study brought out is it really is more important to focus on where the rice was grown than the type of rice that you are consuming. That's really what determines the amount of arsenic and heavy metals. It's just the environment of where the rice is grown. Now the big question is, can we do anything about this? What are all alternatives? Because the danger of arsenic, it's more of the danger of higher levels of arsenic over time, especially for pregnant women, for infants, for young children. High levels of arsenic can certainly, of course, cause death, but also can affect IQ, a lot of brain function. So it's definitely something to be concerned about. So what is the solution? Before we get to the big question of what are we to do about this, let's talk about today's sponsor. Since this is all about the importance of soil, this is actually very relevant of a sponsor, and that is 4 Generations Organic Farms. So as the name implies, they have been in business for 4 generations, and they are organic wheat farmers based in Oklahoma. And the great thing about them is that they are regenerative farmers, which means that they really take care and prioritize the health of the soil, because the better nutrient dense that your soil is, the better nutrient dense that your crop is. And I love 4 Generations Organic Farms. They have been wonderful support on this channel, but their wheat berries are also great. They are clean. They are the #1 wheat berries that I use in my house, and they are shipped to my house reasonably priced, so I don't have to go anywhere to try to find it, and they come in sealed buckets. And so I highly recommend 4 Generations Organic Farms if you're looking for clean wheat berries with the optimal amount of nutrition in it, because they take care of their soil. So be sure to head on over and check them out. Just go to grainsandgrit.com/4generations and use coupon code grainsandgrit for 10% off if that's your first purchase. And thanks so much to 4 Generations Organic Farms for sponsoring this channel. Okay, so there are a few things that we can do to make sure that we are not adding too many heavy metals to our body. One is, the study actually showed that there were 3 different types of rice that were actually lower and were not the high amounts of arsenic. And that was California grown rice, Thai jasmine rice. Now, it did not specify white or brown, because there is brown jasmine rice, so Thai jasmine rice, and then also Indian basmati rice. Those were the 3 rices that just repeatedly were lower and under the levels that the FDA recommends of how much arsenic and heavy metals should be in the rice. So that is #1, buy those rices. #2 is you can actually switch to alternative grains other than rice. Those are ones like barley, quinoa, other type of grains that you can use. Barley especially is a really good alternative to rice. It's very similar, but you know, with it being a wheat, it's not going to absorb those heavy metals like the rice does. So that's another option as well. It's just switching out to another grain if you are uber concerned about it. And then, of course, the good news is the third option is there actually is a way to reduce the arsenic and heavy metals in brown rice or any type of rice by 60%. And that is basically just cooking it via the pasta method, which is actually a very common way that I cook my brown rice. So for every 1 cup of brown rice or whatever rice you want to use, for every 1 cup, you use like 6 cups of water, and you cook it like pasta. So you bring it to a boil, and then after about 5 minutes on boil, you then want to rinse out the rice. Then you want to really rinse it, and then you can just cook it as normal. So it's kind of a parboiling, that's what you're doing. But just doing that method reduces it by a good 60%. Which is quite significant. So no need to necessarily throw out the brown rice that you have, because that leads me to a big topic is I don't believe that white rice is is better for us than the whole grain type rice. God placed those whole grains there for a reason. It has your B vitamins. It has all the nutrients that we need. So we still need that. And just going with white rice, it's like switching to white flour. It's dead. It's going to do you no good. And it may actually cause you some health issues. Now, another thing that I would like to talk about is the fact that one thing that actually does bind to heavy metals in your body and gets them out of your system is actually phytic acid. Yes, the evil word that people think is actually bad for you, but in this case, it could actually help. So if you actually have some freshly milled bread that you have baked at home, you've milled it fresh, it is not fermented or anything, so it still has that phytic acid in it, then that's actually going to help you if you consume it with that rice to actually help you get rid of any extra heavy metals that your body doesn't want. And I did a video all about phytic acid where I kind of talked about that. So that's another thing to consider is I think overall, if you are consuming just a good, healthy diet with a variety of different grains, then overall, I believe we're gonna be fine. But I will say, I will be making sure that I am cooking that brown rice via the pasta method from here on out, just to be on the safe side, because these studies were done on organic rices. It didn't matter. It was all just the growing conditions. So hopefully this was helpful and kind of alleviated some fears that you may have. I will be linking everything in the description box below. And if you want to check out that video I did all about phytic acid, you can do that here. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next week. Bye.